Hey, what's up guys? So time for a fun radar detector test. Now, have you ever seen radar detectors that are mounted not straight and level like this, but actually pointed up into the air or angled down towards the ground? We actually have a term for this. We call it Cobra mounts. And the reason we have that name is, for whatever reason, people buying cheapy Cobras tend to point them at all sorts of crazy angles. There's actually a thread on RDF that's the better part of a decade old, filled with hundreds of photos of people seeing the most crazy, ridiculous mounting styles. Now, in the manuals, they actually specify that your radar detector needs to be mounted straight and level. You don't want it angled up into the sky like you're trying to detect radar from the International Space Station, and you're also not trying to detect radar from China or something on the other side of the planet. You want it mounted straight and level. And it's actually very important because the horns in the antennas, they're actually pretty directional. If you do this or this, you can actually reduce the overall range of your detector. Now, I was curious to see, okay, well, if we do that, how much of a range decrease do we get? Now, I actually just got the idea for testing it from Hidden Cam, who recently went out and tested his R7, and then he did a ridiculous Cobra mount with his R7. He posted the results in the forum, and surprise, surprise, he saw a reduction of range with the Cobra mount. Now, when I was out doing my own testing with the R7 against a bunch of other detectors, I also did a couple goofball runs with the R3 as well as the IXC mounted in ridiculous angles. And I was curious to see for myself, okay, if I actually test it, what will we see? I've actually heard some people say that if you take your radar detector and mount it down a little bit, the signal can kind of bounce off of the hood of your car and bounce into the radar detector and actually give you a little bit longer range. Okay, try that. If you mount it straight or if you mount it up at an angle, how much of a drop is there? Is that just kind of an urban legend, or is there actually some truth to that? So let's actually take a look at the results. Now, I tested with the R3 against 33.8 as well as the IXC on 35.5. Now, I actually saw some differences with the detectors, both the R3 and the IXC. The results kind of varied depending on what detector I was using, the angle that I chose, what radar gun I was using, etc. But let's go ahead and start with the unit in R3. Now, starting off with the R3, when the detector was mounted straight and level, it did a very good job consistently detecting 33.8. That was a little better. Now, what about when I took the detector and kind of mounted it down at a bit of an angle? In this situation, I actually did see a drop off in range, but not necessarily a whole ton, but I did see some. Wow. However, when I angled the detector up into the sky, this is when I saw a bigger difference. Running the R3 with the detector angled up, I noticed it definitely took longer until it was able to acquire a signal. So with the R3 testing, as you can see, we saw more of an impact when the detector was angled up into the sky. It was around a 13% reduction in range. Now, moving on to the IXC, I saw similar results, but actually even more so. So starting off with the radar detector pointed down to the ground, if you take a look at the results, you'll see that there's a little bit of a drop off in range, but not actually all that much. However, once I took the detector and angled it up into the sky, the results were pretty dramatic. In this situation, I saw an almost 40% reduction in range. It actually took way longer to get the detector to alert. Like a bottom tier detector. So as you can see, taking a look at these results, the detectors always perform better when they're mounted straight and level. This is what we've known for many years, this is what the manuals specify, and this is exactly what the test results show. Pointing the detectors down at an angle does reduce the range, not a ton, but it does reduce the range. Pointing the detectors up into the sky definitely reduces the range, and this is probably one of the most common things that I see, and yes, this can have a pretty dramatic impact on the detection range of your detector. Now, the exact amount of distance that you'll lose, again, it'll depend on, how much of an angle there is, what detector you're running. Some detectors are more or less susceptible than others, what radar gun you're encountering, the layout of the terrain, the nature of the terrain, that can impact things. And so, yes, results, of course, can definitely vary, but the overall trends that we're seeing here is mounting the detector at any angle other than straight and level will reduce your range. And so when you're mounting the detector, again, the moral of the story is point it straight forward. Don't angle it up, don't angle it down, point it straight forward, and it's nice to actually see some test results to back up the theory and all the recommendations that we've all known for years, and boom, here's some hard data to back it up. So anyway, just wanted to share this with you guys, and if you want, you can go out and test this and verify it for yourself, whether you're testing against a speed sign, a radar gun. You can do several passes back and forth. You know, if there's a cop parked on the side of the road shooting radar, go out and test it for yourself and let me know. Do you see a reduction in range? Is it dramatic? Is it only a little bit? I'm really curious, you know? You can go out and see all this kind of stuff for yourself, just like we're going out and doing. And so let me know what your results are too. But anyway, moral of the story, keep your detector mounted straight and level. Don't do this. Don't do this. Do this. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.